Welcome. Start sharing out the live, everybody. Welcome to another edition of a Pan Arts Network webinar. And today we're going to be talking about promoting the culture of the steel pan. So, get your drinks, get your food, put this on your TV, and share out the live right now. Share out the live. We have a great panel of people today, and we're looking forward to this. Pleasant good afternoon to all things Pan. Danielle. Streaming live on YouTube, also on the Facebook network. And might as even put it on Twitch as well. Why not? Shetty live. Yep. So if you're listening, let us know where you're listening to us from. Where are you right now? Put in your area code. Let us know where you're from. Drop a flag. Let me see. Yes, Wendy, we know you in Toronto, Canada. Look at flags. Big up, Wendy. Are you ready? We ready. 780. Nice. She says she's from Trinidad. Welcome, Denise. Welcome. Keep sharing all the live. Start shortly. Just waiting for a couple more people to enter the live and then we go in. Hey. Enjoying the sweet sounds of Earl La Pierre playing some Hello. Straight into Fallen. Good afternoon, Wayne Donawa. Yes, brother. Tadal. Come on, I know Tadal here. You gotta watch your father. What do you mean? Bless up, my brother. Great interview the other night. Throw away that shame box, brother. Throw away that shame box. I was watching. That's a line from Bruce Scarrett. Anderson, large up yourself, representing LA by the way of Point 410 Black City. Nice boy, big up yourself, bro. Share out the live. So we going after this one, everybody on the panel. Let's get ready. Get ready to unmute your mics. We have a nice crowd filling. Like my boy Nevin say, everything is good, everything is nice, the bar is open, the things are cool. We even have salt nuts, farm in the house. Salt are fresh. What do you mean? So as we ease our way out of this, once again as Earl La Pierre or the Cayman Islands. Yes. Hey, look at my people. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Everybody unmute your mic. Well, let me start unmuting people if I could. Everybody unmute your mic, please.
Good afternoon.
Jeez,
good afternoon.
Good
afternoon.
Nice.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon,
everybody.
Everybody looks good. Everybody looks good. Wendy, how are you?
I am great. This is the day that the Lord has made. I am here to rejoice and be glad in it.
We are so glad in it in truth.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So, Wendy, you take the honors and introduce our special host, the host with the most, with the big smile.
The biggest smile ever. And everybody knows Itah Sadu. Itah has been one of our long-standing mentors in the community, and especially to Pan Arts Network. She's no stranger to us on stage, off stage. She's the big sister. She's the matriarch of Pan Arts Network, in a sense, you could say. And Itah comes to us with a wealth of knowledge. We stand on her shoulders. I can say we can call her at the drop of a moment, and she's there for us. Earl and I usually say, when Itah cut her locks off, it was a funny moment on stage because she walked over to Earl and she goes, "Earl, do you know who I am?" And everybody started laughing, but Itah has been there for us. She owns a different booklist, and that is now a different booklist cultural center. It's going to be a center of excellence, a community hub that we can all go to. And she has been a stronghold in the community for many, many years. And right now she's taking on the biggest project in Toronto. And that project takes on what we call beauty, culture, history. And we're going full forth with her. We are supporting her on this. And she's got this little fundraiser that we call, buy a brick. And everybody bought a brick. But most of all, that brick represents each one of us in the community. And we stand with her because we know that what she is doing is for the future generation and for the knowledge of our Toronto, to make sure that the history stands, and none other than us in the community that are supporting her, we know that we could go forward. But Itah, I want to tell you on behalf of Pan Arts Network, we love you. And we want to make sure that you are always there for us. So today, let's put our hands together, as we would say on stage, and bring on our lovely, wonderful host, all the way from Barbados.
I'm glad I get you to do that. Wait, that is our intro, boy. What?
Arts Network, big up all the Pan lovers in the world. As you know, I am one of the biggest fans of the Pan community and all the greatness that the music brings to us. I was bouncing and rocking as I heard the music, was playing and getting us warm. And for all of you across the world, I know you're thinking, oh God, I'm loving your accessories. I didn't know where to put my sticks at, but I thought I'd put these sticks in my afro today.
That was
Pandemic has taken
Looking
on
good.
a whole new life. So people might come on and think, Itah growing horns. No, man. It's an accessory called pandemic. There you go.
I love it.
I gotta do this.
Oh,
The
man.
board staff of Pan Arts Network, of OSA, and even a different book list acknowledge the original caretakers and storytellers of this land. And there are people too who are people of the drum, the Mississaugas of the credit, the Ishnabwe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, the Métis and the Wendat First Nation, people with the drum. We thank these mighty nations for allowing us to build our families, our homes, and our dreams in this land. We pledge to walk hand in hand with them as we journey on the road to self-determination and social justice. And you can't talk Pan without talking self-determination, because the instrument has always been on a journey of self-determination. So today, I sit here very excited. I sit here excited to know that at some point in our intersection together as Books and Pan, we celebrated the history of the Renegades Steel Orchestra. I sit here excited that we have also had the opportunity to celebrate the illustrated story of Pan by Kim Johnson. So there's so much intersections that we have had. And I'm particularly pleased that there's a Bajan on this panel, because everybody knows Steelpan started in Barbados. Before I start a worldwide riot now,
Yeah, we would do that.
as
Let's not.
growing up in Barbados, the most
Oh my God.
world was at 5 o'clock in the morning. We heard Baker tune his pan and play music. And that music drifted over Whole Town St. James, Porter's St. James, right across the tenantries. And as people waking up to the cock crowing and all of the noises of the morning, one of the most beautiful things that filtered through our imagination and into our spirits was this mighty instrument that came out of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm pleased to welcome Nevin Roach. Roach is my neighbor in Barbados, so we kind of related because of the last name thing. So I am pleased to welcome you two on this forum. Please also to welcome Rudo Forteau, who for me is like Steelpan royalty. I remember going to the Steelpan Association, Pan Trimbago, or one of those offices in Trinidad, and feeling I had gone to the Mecca of the place. And a friendly, warm young man welcomed us and introduced us to all the staff in this organization. So Rudo, I really welcome you again onto this forum, and it is happy to meet you, and congratulations on your new son, Zayed.
Thank you.
Dwight Belgrove. Oh my gosh, how many times have I traveled in the subway? Some days we travel in the subway and we're thinking of our lives and we are weary. We hate our jobs, but we love our families, and so we are going to those jobs. And along the way, just along the way, we hear the magic of Pan in the subway, a drum speaking to our eardrum and speaking to our hearts. So Dwight Belgrove, I want to welcome you again and thank you too for all the magic of the music that you have brought to us over the years in the subway.
Thank
To
you.
Terrence Wilson, oh my God, for me, you're like, zap, zap, okay. And you are a man that I see who is in search of uplifting the Pan movement here in Canada. So I salute you as the chair of the Ontario Steelpan Association, and it is always good to see you, my brother, and I know that you can make magic with numbers. So I salute you. And
Thanks for having me.
Augustine, you are in the Chrome world. Right now, I have uploaded my technology on Chrome. So Chrome and me and you have a thing going on right now. So, Chrome, so all the way from Trinidad and Tobago, Augustine, brother Augustine, salute you and welcome you also. And now I go to some further royalty. I go to Earl La Pierre Jr., the leadership of Afro-Pan here in the city of Toronto. So many years, 40 plus years of excellence and greatness. And you are the one of the most exciting solo panists that I know. You just make everything in my DA tingle when you get on that pan. So respect your family. And by the way, if ever you're at Harborfront Center, you can sit on the bench of Afro-Pan and just bask in the history of their greatness. And to my sister friend, Wendy Jones, coming strong with the winningest band here in Canada. Oh, my stars, I salute you too, because your efforts are unwavering. Anytime that there is a moment or some opportunity to push the pan movement forward, my sister, you always step up to the plate. The world is incredibly pleased that you have had conversations about pan educators, and that was such a successful event that you had, where people could speak freely about the triumphs and the challenges that they face as pan educators. What an awesome thing COVID has allowed us. This pandemic has allowed the pandemic community to do some exciting things. And so here we are today to have another forum. And this forum today is promoting the culture of Steelpan. And to get you started, I'm going to ask one quick question, and you're not going to labor it down. You're going to give me a quick answer back. The first question I'm going to ask to all the panelists is simply this: what do you do for fun? And I'm going to go with you, Terrence, because I saw you look away and I thought, boom, I'm going to go on you. So Terrence, what do you do for fun? Just share that with us.
Oh, well, my fun mostly is music and pan, listening to WAC radio. And I'm losing your audio.
I can hear you. Yes.
Wonderful. I'm not hearing Itah.
But I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Like I was saying, my fun is more or less listening to as much pan as possible and playing music and doing my thing in my little basement, you know. Not much to do at this point in time, but outside of the pandemic, it's definitely running around to the steel bands and ensuring everybody is well prepared for the Pan Alive or whatever activity that we planning out there.
All right.
And, you know, that's about it.
So listening to Pan is something that you do for fun. So Rudo, I'm coming to you. What do you do for fun?
Well, right now, all the fun right now is Zion. I mean, being with the family here, it's really fun. You know, it was hard to get here from Trinidad, you know, while the borders were closed and so on. But actually, being with the family here, that's my fun time, and seeing Zion actually grow. But other than that, I like to, you know, in my fun time, I like to go into my quiet space, do some music, and you know, and that kind of thing. So music is always fun for me.
All right. Right out of Barbados, what you do for fun, Nevin?
Well, just first, let me just clarify. Everybody probably wondering why I have on the shades. And that was to allow my eyes to get accustomed to the light shining out from all these stars. Now that my eyes are finally adjusted, I can remove them and you can see my eyes.
Never a comedian.
Go on.
And secondly, to clarify, I am a Tobago boy. Eh? I spent all my years growing up in Tobago. I went to primary school in Blackrock, Big Up Cats and Jammers. That was the first band I ever played in Panograma with. I also went to Bishop's High School before coming to Barbados to go to the University of the West Indies, K-Phil. But I have some Barbadian roots, but first and foremost, Trini in my blood, Trinidad and Tobago. Right?
I can ask you this though, Nevin. Do you live in Black Rock, Barbados? Because you know Black Rock is near the university. Is that why?
Well, I live kind of close. It's 5 minutes out.
So you just moved from one Black Rock to another Black Rock.
You could say that. You could say that. I just love Black Rock, you know. But for me, I love a good adventure. I love to explore for fun. Obviously, music, that goes without saying, and playing pan, which unfortunately, you know, I really wish I could have been back in Trinidad for Carnival and for Panograma to meet all the lovely people that I've met through, you know, virtual events and so forth last year. But here we are. And I absolutely love to go to the beach as well. So that sums me up in a nutshell.
Very cool. You must be in Barbados if you said beach. There you go. Dwight Belgrove, Grove, let me hear you. What do you do for fun?
Well, for fun for me is more or less watching sports. These days I watch a lot of sports. That's how I have my fun time. For me, playing pan, that's my business. That's what I do. So that is not the fun part of it. The fun part is when I am not playing. When I'm playing, that's business. Yes, so sports. You see, I'm representing Raptors today, so I love my sports.
Super Bowl tomorrow. Yes, perfect. Augustine, what about you? What's your fun? What do you do for fun?
Well, for me, all I do for fun is tune pan. If I tune in, playing, boy. That's my fun. All day, every day.
Ooh,
all day, every day.
All day, every day. Wonderful. So I love the fact that you don't have a job, you have a passion, and that passion then is fun. Very cool. So Earl and Wendy bringing up the rear. Wendy, what do you do for fun?
My fun is cooking and decorating. That is my downtime, and I love doing that. It's a part of the passion that I have. But I think fun is going in the panel and cleaning and decorating and doing all the stuff that I love to do. But most of all, just meeting people. I think that's my fun. And a lot of the times, I think when I meet people, that is where the enjoyment comes, and just conversing with everybody. I'm done.
Earl La Pierre Jr., what do you do for fun?
I think the lime element, like I was telling some of the fellas on the panel today, would have been rep your ban, boat ride in Trinidad. If I was in Trinidad, that would have been, real fun, because them boat rides, how they just get. And this particular boat ride is all about putting on your pan t-shirt, and whoever has the biggest amount of supporters wins this big bottle of Texas Mickey, which is a bottle about this big of Johnny Walker. So I would think socializing with friends and family is the fun that I have. And like everybody said, obviously music and thing, but just lime in. And we're not having that much fun because we don't get to lime so much now, but that is the fun parts for me.
Yeah. Well, we're having a great live right here on the virtual world. And for people tuning in, we're here with the PAN-DEMIC Network Live, and we're talking about the promoting culture of Steelpan. And so now I'm going to ask you now the hard questions. Oh, you didn't ask me what I do for fun.
Yeah,
what do you do for fun?
In Japan. Yeah. So you're all promoters in your respective rights. You all have done, you're doing a number of things in just advancing this culture of the Steelpan and the Steelpan movement. I'm going to go to you, Nevin, and I want you to share a little bit with us about your role as a promoter. I'm aware that you did something incredibly cool at the time that captured the imagination of the world. But I want you to share with us, and as I go around, and I'm not going to pick on you after I've picked on Nevin, I want you to share with the world, how do you see your role as a promoter, and where do you sit in your organization? Nevin.
All right. Well, for those who aren't familiar by now, my name is Nevin Roach, and I am the founder of Panograma. Right. I started that last year, April, during the heights of COVID lockdowns, after I was influenced by watching some live entertainment on Instagram. I immediately put pen to paper, and before you know it, I had 20 persons in an international competition, and from the reviews, it was a huge success. It was actually a bigger success than I anticipated. When I look back on the regional coverage, I was on the news in Guyana, in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Barbadian newspapers, in Antigua as well. It was truly an amazing experience, and I was very happy that I was able to deliver a product of that caliber that people could really enjoy.
Was it a competition or a showcase?
It was a competition. It was a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And eventually that led me to starting an official business called Panograma Entertainment, And coming out of Panograma, what I did afterwards was start a virtual concert series called Pan Motion, where I would have featured some of the performers who participated in Panograma, as well as, you know, some others from Antigua or wherever who I thought would fit in and deserving of the opportunity to perform on the platform.
Did they have to audition or they just signed up?
Well, they just signed up because let me tell you, it was difficult trying to pitch a new concept, not only to panists, but to people within the pan community, because I would consider myself as relatively unknown, you know, in the grand scheme of things in the international pan community. I'm pretty known throughout the Caribbean region because I would play in St. Vincent, I play in St. Lucia, Antigua, Grenada, play there as well. So I know a lot of people, but as a promoter, people were not familiar with me in the pan world in that capacity, you know? So I just opened registration and try to get as many people signed up as possible. And that's how it started. And that's how it went down the road.
And my final question on that is, was there a particular age group that you saw signing up? Were there older panists or was it emerging panists? Just give us a little sense of that.
Well, based on the feedback, you know, people love the fact that new talent was unearthed, right? So people got to see some panists from Barbados that they were not familiar with, and it really opened up new channels for pan internationally. You know, people would generally believe that, okay, pan is Trinidad and Tobago. But through this competition, you get to find out that we have really good panists in Barbados, you know. There's a guy in Puerto Rico who plays pan. There's somebody in St. Martin who licks like, whoa, you know. So the bulk of participants were, you know, between, I would say, 20 and 30. And Dow from St. Martin, he was the oldest competitor I had. And yeah, it was a nice mix. It was a nice mix of talent.
Perfect. Very good. I'm going to bring you into the conversation, Terrence Wilson, as the chair of OSA, and share with us your role as a promoter and where you land within the organization.
Well, I am the president of Ontario Steelpan Association, and I don't see myself much as a promoter, but as an organizer to make sure everything is in place in the preparation of putting on our Pan Alive competition, which takes place around Carabana time. We usually have around 9-10 bands, and it's my role really is to make sure everything goes as planned, because it's difficult coordinated with 9-10 bands, and I get lots of assistance from the board and from lots of volunteers. I thank them very much. And like Bunji says, the heart of the people, it go deep, you know, so you can't forget the many people behind the scenes, you know, the vendors, the sponsors, and everybody else. So on that day, my role is to make sure everything goes as planned, the bar is set up, the door is set up, and it's really fun to be doing such activity, because it's kind of you sort of see the fruit from the labor when you see the bands. I like going by, or I usually visit all the bands. The bands see me all the time. So, and the nice thing about it is I'm no stranger to the bands and many of the players. So that sort of cut my work in half. There's not much rivalry and, you know, that sort of thing in the pan yard and among bands and that sort of stuff. But all in all, it's a war around that time. But once that is done, all of us usually click glass together as usual. You know, we just do it.
All right. Is that a pan drink you're having there?
Well, it's you could call it that. Is a little Campari mixed with something and LLB, you know, kind of light, not too heavy.
It's beautiful. It is always 5 o'clock in another country. That's all.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's 5 o'clock in another country. Augustine, where do you sit in this location of the promotion of? I know that you are a creator of PAN. Your role, the promotion of PAN, where you see yourself.
Yeah, well, firstly, I was mandated to help carry on the culture. You know, we had so much of tuners in the past, they going on, and, you know, at one point, people were worried, like, you know, we're not seeing no tuners coming up, and you had people like Teddy Belgrove, the Pan and School Coordinated Council, who, you know, they started to put things in place. Pan-Trinbago used to have pan tuning courses and stuff because they see the talent going. So firstly, I was mandated. I made up my mind. I say, you know what, the baton is being passed on, so I need to take the culture further. And in the whole scheme of things, I'm just here to give the best quality instruments as possible to help all the players. You know, congratulations to Nevin again. And well, because of his Panograma, I was able to link with some of the participants, you know, help them get instruments and up their game and stuff like that. So, you know, I try to promote the best instruments, well, they are very high quality instruments so that, you know, people would see pan in a much different light, right? So, as we earlier, I see myself in the scheme of things, just promoting the culture.
Augustus, one of the things that I'm fascinated with, Roland Kerrigan once told me that he takes the drum and he breathes life into it. And I wrote that on my heart because that captured my imagination. I'm particularly fascinated with your word mandated. Share that with me, why that choice of word that you were mandated. Is that an apprenticeship? Did history tap you on the back? Why that choice of word mandate?
Well, it's a bit of both. History tapped on the shoulder, and also being an understudy of Mr. Kelman. You know, he always say that from the first day I met him, is like, you know, Gus, I ain't go always be here, you know, thing, only come and learn, and, you know, you'd say just like that, come and learn or whatever, because we had to carry on the culture, because, I mean, you could look around and you see a lot of people learning worldwide, and we being the Mecca, we need to maintain that now, right? So it was a bit of the both. History, when you look back at history and you saw how much rich history we have, and then for me personally, one of my objectives is also to inspire the younger people, because looking at a Steelpan tuner growing up is like, you always see these guys busy working, whatnot, and when I got into it and saw the opportunities that came out of it, traveling the world and stuff, I was like, well, you know, if a lot of the youths saw the opportunity in a better light or a more professional light, maybe they would be drawn to it, because, you know, one of my pet peeves was filling out a form, and we say like the bank, and they asking you, what is your profession? Now you would search that whole form, you're seeing doctor, lawyer, DJ, musician, barbering, auto mechanics, you're seeing the full works, and you're not seeing pan tuners anywhere but your pan maker, boy. So that is something that got to me. So I say, you know what? I had to be the change that I want to see. So going and try and change things a bit, and still carry on the culture. So basically, that's my contribution to the art form.
That's a wonderful response, and I love the fact that you see PAN as a pathway of social mobility, and I like the fact that you want to challenge banking institutions to make that classification happen. That's how change happens. Black Lives Matter. Oh, I love you for that. Share with me now, Rudo, where do you land in this role of promotion of PAN?
Yes. Okay. So in my role as a promoter, whereas was the chairman of the Youth Arm of Pan-Trinbago, was actually to plan, coordinate, and execute events, whether it's a competition, concert, workshops, or any kind of education program. This is what my role was actually, you know, meeting with the organizing committee, different stakeholders. You have the sponsors, the steel bands, whether it's writing press releases, making sure that the airtime, both on radio and TV. It's met the networking with other contacts in the industry, dealing with designers, printers, marketing personnel. A lot of us, most times when we actually promoted a show, doing a show, people at the end will always see the end result, but doesn't know that the work that it's that goes into it. So it's a lot of stuff that we do in the background and so on. So basically that's the job of being a promoter for us at Pan-Trinbago. It's challenging times we're in, but I am looking on and I'm seeing that they are navigating through. So that's what we do.
And thank you too for being part of that team that brought us those wonderful posters that gives you a history of the pan. It takes you around the elements that make up the pan and composition. I have them here in my home. So thank you too for the resources and promoting those resources that people can have, not just panists and people in the pan community, but everyone can share and enjoy and learn more about the instrument. And so Earl, where do you land in all of this? Can't hear you. You're off mute.
The person who's muting everybody and unmuting everybody, and I forget to mute my own self. You know what I mean? I'm the person muting and unmuting everybody, and I forget to unmute myself. Shameful. But anyways, like I was saying, well, for the past, almost 3 decades, myself and Wendy and our team, Pan Arts Network, have been doing promotions in Toronto, taking Pan to that world stage that we say with Snowflakes, Autumn Leaves, Sons of Steel. So one thing that I do is I push Pan first and foremost, right? And being that my father was very instrumental in bringing this beautiful instrument here back in the 60s, just being that kind of an ambassador here in Canada is one thing that I take seriously. Anywhere I go, I tell them about the Steelpan. I try to put the Steelpan in all things that I do, whether it was in Kingdom Ahsoka, which was another group that we came up with. Dr. J, a brethren of mine who's in the chat right now, Wayne Donawa, were the brainchilds behind it. They hired me as the manager and MC, and Pan was right there with us. We even did a Pan record as well. So promoting this culture is something that I find it's in my blood, you know what I mean? So anything that I do, I always put that Pan there. So if it's not Pan Arts Network, if it's not Kingdom Ahsoka, if it's not Sons of Steel, if it's not Extraordinary Steel Panists, I'm doing whatever I can, Afro-Pan, to take this Pan to them world stages, you know? So
nice. And Sister Wendy, bringing up the rear. Where do you land in this world of promotion and Pan?
Well, I think it's a big role. When you say where we land, I'm excited because I'm always ready to take on a new venture. And as Earl has said, Pan Arts Network started 23 years ago, just about 24. And I want to say that when we started it, we saw a way of bringing everyone together. And it was hard because the bands were fractioned in Toronto. And as Earl would remember, we brought everyone to the table. So for me, bringing people together and promoting the Pan was the first thing. Being a part of Pan Fantasy Steel Orchestra, which we started Pan in the schools, and that was amazing because Earl's dad is the one who taught me to play. And when I saw that we were learning the instrument, we also looked at how we would promote the instrument and also cultivate it. And you know, when we talk about resistance, we're talking about all the things that came with Pan, and women weren't in the Pan world as much as they are now today. So for me, it was a bit of a struggle having to fight my way through the promotion and trying to get the groups together because we were in the world of men and Pan and pioneers that were living in Toronto at the time. Earl La Pierre Sr. taught us a lot, and we took that power and utilized it for ourselves by bringing groups together. And when we did that, we found a way of putting the organization in place, which was called Pan Arts Network. Pan Fantasy for me was another opportunity because that is my band. That is where we stage all things and all things that come in good things. And Pan Fantasy is now 34 years old, whereas Pan Arts Network that we're promoting is going on its 24th year. The education piece for me is very big, and I've had the opportunity of doing so many educational things with PAN. For myself, just doing workshops with kids, bringing members into the band. I think we've had, I always say it's hundreds and hundreds of kids. And when we've had hundreds of kids in programs and schools shut down, we now have what we call a summer camp. So summer camps are happening all over, and it's an opportunity to go and teach. And for me, that is big, and that's where I fall in. And I think most important is just teaching values where there's PAN. There's so much discipline and all that stuff we look at, right? So it's a motivation thing for me, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's where I fall in. We promote every year, as Earl has said, with PAN Arts Network by doing as many shows as we can to pull all these groups together. And the most important person on this panel right now is a person that makes PAN. And I'm loving this because now we have another avenue to bring more PANs to Toronto. I'm good.
That is absolutely fantastic. Over the years, though, you've talked about, Dwight. Oh my gosh, Dwight Belgrove. Where do you land in this whole promotion of PAN? I almost missed you because you are often underground. That's my comeback.
Well, my promotion of PAN is mainly underground, as you said, because I do it directly. I'm playing there Monday to Friday for like 6 to 8 hours. I'm playing in the subway, so I see thousands of people pass by me, and the interaction between me and the fans, it's remarkable. There are some people that never seen PAN before, and then there are the diehards, the Trini people who would be coming down whining. You playing something and you seeing somebody coming down the steps whining. It's remarkable. Sometimes you be playing like Hallelujah chorus, and someone would come and sit in front of you, and they would go through the whole song with you, and then they bow before you and leave. It's the promotion is something else. People they are now able to see that we could play anything. The instrument is capable of playing anything, and I look forward to continuing to do that and spreading our culture. It's beautiful.
Moment to drop a little piece of history. We got to give a shout out and a big up to Hamid Shak, another fellow panist here in the city, because his introduction took the Steelpan into the subway. And I remember
he was the first one of us.
Yes. On that questionnaire is the PAN a drum? Is it a drum? Like, is it going to blow up the TDC or, disrupt, things? So I wanted, though, to shout him out and to shout out his efforts here in the city of bringing that resistance and resilience to us. Now, over the years,
Sorry to interrupt you. Just letting you know that Nevin, according to what they say in Trinidad, current gone. So he's trying to get back on. He's having a little difficulties with his cam. I don't know if he could hear us, but he is trying to get back on, but his current gone. So.
And for all those who know, that is a rare occasion in Barbados. So I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are fired right now. And I'm aware that someone from an oil producing society is telling me that the electricity is gone.
So there you go.
In that nation state. But Nevin is going to jump back on. And if he does, give me the heads up on that. My question now is this. So over the years, you've been involved in all of these events. You're doing wonderful things. I want you to talk a little bit about how these events are sponsored. Where are we going forward with sponsorship? Who are your corporate sponsors at this moment? And how do we navigate that world of sponsorship? Who is the brave person who's going to emerge and speak to that? I'm going to go with Wendy because she's nodding and smiling. And so I'm going to go with you, Wendy, to start the conversation with us about how do we approach others in the corporate world, or have you succeeded in having the corporate world align with the PAN movement?
Well, we have succeeded, I should say. I was looking at Earl. I was nodding to see if he was going to answer, but, we'll incorporate this together. For us, we have been fundraising for ourselves for many years. And, you fill out the application grants and all those things. And today we are proud to say that the Toronto Arts Council is one of our sponsors. I'm just bearing mind that, poor Nevin, he got cut off there. Think about it, us going into theaters and all this stuff happening right now. Renting a theater is a big expense for us. And you go to different organizations and you say to them, listen, it's going to cost us $5,000 or $7,000 and we need some sponsorship. It is hard to navigate that because a lot of organizations, especially the PAN world, they don't see it as an orchestra. But when we put on our shows, we go to the smaller sponsors and ask for them to support us. But most of the funds that we have been raising is on our own for the many years. So every time we raise money, we put it back into the organization to make sure that it flows back into the next show. We've been navigating that for quite a while, and it's worked for us. But now, with the virtual world and us not being able to be, physically in a theater, bringing people in, it's going to be harder. So now we have to go and do the penny pinching and also look at how we will professionally look at bringing in those who can support us by giving us grant money. And that is a big piece. It's like buying a Steelpan. We are looking at cost. Everything costs, to blend the instruments to have a show. So therefore, we are asking people to support the groups that are out there, the smaller groups, especially the ones that are culturally sensitive. And our instrument is culturally sensitive. So I'm going to let Earl jump in if he would like to. I want to keep it where we are continuing to stay positive because we know there are people out there who would love to support us, but not everyone can. So a lot of our sponsorship and a lot of our support comes from individuals as we go along.
Yeah, big up to all the people who cook food and sell food and all those, the people, the power of the people are the biggest corporate sponsors right now. You're sharing with us. Earl, you were going to say something?
No, exactly what Wendy said. It's very true. Like, you may need $5,000, but you also need other things. Like she said, there's tuning of pans, but just think about it. Anybody could help in any given way. Your time is sponsoring. Your time is helping a band, whether it's coming in serving food, whether it's coming and painting a rack, you're a carpenter, platform for drum, every year we need money to do these things, and sometimes we don't even realize that right there in your organization you may have somebody who could weld, so all of these things fall into play, which is a part of you raising money to do something for your band, for your show, whatever it is. Reach out. Outreach is very important, and having these platforms, these webinars now are going to be even more vital, because just from last week's webinar, and I'm going to keep saying it, I didn't even think nobody would listen, to be honest. Wendy was like, we have to do it, and I was like, and now look at me this week, and I'm all ready for this one. I'm excited. I'm seeing like 60 people here. I'm seeing like 25 people over there. So there's like at least 80 people who are actually here today just sitting down watching us. And then after this is aired, another 2,000 people watched it. So I was like, wow, so people are really interested in this. And I seen somebody asking, who am I? And they would like to hear me solo. Just that engagement right there. This person doesn't know who I am, but saw me and asked about me. So those elements are very important in any organization, any band, anything that we do, is knowing the right people. And the only way we could do that is by asking certain questions.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a wonderful opportunity. Even last year, suddenly people realized that emancipation was attached to carnival. And as Roger Gibbs would say, that carnival is probably the most public expression of emancipation. So COVID has been an accelerant, but it has also slowed us down so we could take in our histories also to have a newness that we can share with the world. So Terrence, you spend probably a fair amount of time to speaking to funders and people about funding. Tell me about that moment that you can recall where you thought, oh my God, it was in the bag. I've been so passionate about, presenting PAN. And you got to unmute.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, from my side of things, it's been very challenging, very, very challenging. I know Earl and Wendy is fully much aware of that, because most of our funding comes from the city via FMC, the organization that runs the actual festival. And it's very challenging at times to get the money to the band in a timely manner. So that's where it's at. And with regards to sponsoring, it's difficult for steel bands to get sponsor. I know back in the days when I now started to play pan with Afro-Pan, that's when like it was Caravana back in those days, and somehow Caravana had a link with like partnerships with sub-sponsors. So Afro-Pan they will get a corporation to sort of sponsor Afro-Pan or fund Afro-Pan to fund the other bands and that sort of stuff. So I wish that could come back again. But again, as you see the situation now in the city with regards to cultural and the grants and all these things, everything is being chopped left, right, and center. So what we as an organization have to do, as well as the bands, is try to find ways to fundraise as much as possible and be sort of self-sustaining.
I'm going to take you into the shower right now, Terrence.
Oh, yeah.
Question that I'm going to ask you is, when you are by yourself, when you're dreaming, when you're taking your shower before you go to bed, and you think, oh my God, if only given this opportunity, because we're in a whole new time now. We're not back in that time. We're in that time. So if only given the opportunity, who are the first two corporations that you're going to call to say, you align so well with PAN, I don't even know how you have missed that? Who would those two corporations be? You've got right now.
Well, the first corporation I will really approach is the Maple Leaf, because once you have partnership, I think they have lots of sponsors behind them that will follow them and sort of support what they are actually after, and see some sort of how to say it, some sort of fruit involved in PAN, because PAN is a thing that actually is very contagious. It's very contagious. Once you start, you will never want to stop being involved. And I started back in 1990, and look where I am today. So
this is making them maple leaves then, that like trees, you will continue to grow and have branches. So I encourage you, booyah, to get fire off that letter too, because here we are. This is not a time that we can be thinking about back in the past, but this is a time bold to move forward. So Maple Leafs, I love the imagery. We are Canadian. Canadian. We're not other things. We are Canadians, and we are having a Canadian conversation about the beautifulness, about the beauty of this instrument. So loving you for that. And I could hear the Maple Leaf saying, bring it on. Oh, I love this guy already. So Augustus. So Augustus, where are you going with this? Where do you have corporate sponsorship? I love the fact that you've nailed one of the criterias in banking and funding. Where are you going to with the corporate world or other funds? How are you supported?
Well, we don't have corporate sponsorship just yet, because we had to put things in place, right? So far, right now is about having and not just tuning up and selling up but building a proper team, having enough testimonial and things, so that when we do approach corporate sponsors and stuff like that, you have things to back it up now. Right? So
and are you looking international, or are you just looking within the parameters of Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, actually international, but we had to start home first, and then we see where that goes.
Rudo, what about you? Thank you.
Unmute. Okay. Over the years, Pan-Tobago primarily be funded by the state. We are funded by the state, and also corporate Trinidad and Tobago has been good to Pan-Tobago to a great extent, right? So it's basically state funding. And what we see today, like some of the bands are sponsored, but we have lots of steel bands in Trinidad and Tobago still that are unsponsored. And it's quite difficult for steel band to get together. Like let's say a competition like a Panograma. It costs lots of money to actually to enter into the Panograma. And when we think about just we look at the tuning, the uniforms, getting players to the panyard. Some players come to the practice without anything to eat or without money to go back home or to come back the next day. So all these things, money is involved. So it's quite difficult at times. So what the governments and so on and different organizations that could assist, understand that, listen, we could have policies like tax exemptions and so on that could go towards companies so that they could assist more steel bands because they really, really need the funding. And for me, I would any day be out there with the loudest voice crying and pleading for steel bands to be funded because it's very, very difficult. We need the funding. But basically, over the years, we are a state-funded organization with the help from corporate Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you too for challenging bureaucrats to look at policy, change policy, because we are the government. We elect people, so we are the government. So I like the fact that you're also speaking to people in the bureaucratic world to help us to change policies to effect the PAN. So Dwight, there you are in the subway on a good day, playing your heart out, or when you come home to relax and you're thinking, if only given this opportunity, what is one of the things that you would change or you would like to see that would elevate that playing PAN in the subway, if only funded or elevated? What are your thoughts?
Well, in the subway, I would really like to see more of us playing more Steelpan in the subway. Right now, there is only like 2, 3 players. I am one. Bosco is another one, and there's another Caucasian guy that plays. There's 3 of us playing in the subway now, and I would really love to see us flood in the subway because the people seem to love our music. It's a change from the traditional guitar and violin, and it's another way that we can promote the culture. And it has been very good for me because I am usually very busy. This is Black History Month. I would normally be doing 3-4 gigs per week during this month. So it's a good thing. I would love to see more of us playing in the subway.
All right. So the advancement more of others. I have another question for you, and I'm just going to put it out and somebody respond. What do you think defines Canadian and Torontonian PAN, if you will, on the world stage? How do we define ourselves as Canadians in playing PAN? How do we define that? What does that look like?
I guess I would have to jump in. Am I singing any better? People shake your head?
Yes.
All right, okay. Because again, some people say, so how does that define us? Well,
how do you define yourselves as Toronto people on the world stage?
Well, you see, this is the thing. I remember growing up, being Earl La Pierre's son. One of the things they used to say is, well, you're not gonna be, rated unless you go to Trinidad and Tobago to be, a panis. You know what I mean? And putting those stigmas on people is very difficult. It's very hard, and it's not fair because, as we noticed, there are so many great panis all over the world. You know what I mean? And doesn't matter where they come from, their culture. You never know. I was introduced to a lot of great panis by Nevin Roach. You know what I mean? There was some panis on there that I'd never heard of in my life. And because of Nevin Roach and Panograma last year, I'm good friends with the Hashims, with the Marks, and I've even met some more panis on the Panorama J. So I don't want to be defined as just a Torontonian or a Canadian panis. If we're trying to fly the Canadian flag and we want to represent, we could do that just as equal as we have seen on a lot of our platforms here on social media. But I don't like to be stigmatized as a Canadian panis or that is La Pierre Senior son. No, them kind of thing. Like those stigmas, you want to identify as your own. And I think I showed that, and I think my brother showed that because Jimmy's style is different from my style. Noel's style is different from both of our styles. None of us play exactly like our dad either. So, we all have developed our own style, our own forte, our own ways of doing things. So me being more urban, I may like more R&B, more rap, more funk, more reggae. So you may not see that in Trinidad. You might see more calypso, more this and that. But That doesn't define the actual players. So I don't want to stigmatize myself as a Canadian or a Torontonian panist, because Danielle, who lives in the East Coast, she doesn't want to stigmatize herself as an Edmontonian panist. You know what I mean? So I'm not for it. That's just my opinion.
Okay, I was just getting a call from the Prime Minister's office.
Oh gosh, you ready to deport me?
Canadian panist that we should send somewhere.
You're gonna deport me. I ready to go, you know, this cold breeze.
I know. We're all ready to go. I was gonna jump in here and say, Itah, when we define ourselves, it's so funny because when I thought back of my mom saying that, we really, women don't play pan, back in the day. And now that we are all playing pan, most bands are made up of half of the band, maybe 70% of the bands are women now, right? And you look at the power behind that. Women are doing things and we're coming out and we're defining who we are as panists in different lights. As Earl has just said, some people like pan, some people like promoting pan, the power of pan. We're all doing all those things. And I think it's amazing that we can define who we are. We don't have to be like everybody else. I don't want to be like everybody in Trinidad. I always tell Earl that we are all different. And I bring something different to the table than somebody else. Suzette plays in this, the system. Then we have Joy Laps. We have all the women in Toronto that play pan. And I say to all of them, they're all pioneers in their own way. And they bring something different to the table. As a Canadian, we stand on as I see Michelle popping up there, Michelle Walker. Thank you, Michelle, for saying that, because we stand on the grounds of our ancestors. Yeah. Hey, Nevin, welcome back.
Hey, Nevin, the current on in Barbados.
in another part.
Welcome back. The power of lightning,
Yeah.
I would say that is just. I'm not sure if you all discussed it as well as yet, but that is a live demonstration of the issues with virtual events.
Yes. And I think it's something we have to look at. So I just want to jump back. I see Michelle saying something, and Michelle, I want to pop in here and say this. We had Pan Fantasy had the opportunity several years ago to go to Manitoulin Island. And that engagement that we had defined a part of who we were, because we had that opportunity to mesh the two drums together, the joining of the drums in Manitoulin Island. And that was the amazing thing, one of the amazing things that Pan Fantasy did. And I think when we saw that, in light of bringing our cultures together, that gave us an opportunity to say, well done. It is not just about the instrument being in Trinidad and being only a cultural piece. We were able to bring these both instruments together. And it's just like, the djembe drums, and we have Goma, and Yvonne brings her drum side in, and we all traveled down to the island. And Itah, as you can recall, getting on the Chichiman, it was one of the most funniest things that we did, but it was amazing. It was something that I can't ever forget. And being part of the indigenous side of Canadians, bringing pan to the forefront, we have joined the two drums together. Yes.
Yeah, that was an incredible experience.
Yes.
And just to bring that synergy together or young people together at the same time. So Nevin, we were talking a little bit about sponsorship and the funds that are attached to the movement. So I'm going to let you get a little take on it now that you are back. But we wanted to know, how are you funded, and what are your thoughts of how the PAN community could be further supported financially or economically?
Well, Panograma Entertainment is still relatively new, right? When I started up last year, I was pretty much prepared to fund everything out of pocket. I was very fortunate to pick up sponsors. Pantron Bago came on board, Salmon Cupid, the #1 Steelpan app goal, and a bunch of others. So that sponsorship was not intentional, just based on the circumstances of how I started up the whole Panograma and everything. But this time around, I have been very industrious in trying to get sponsorship from very early. The event is carded for May 7th, and I was trying to make contacts and chat with people since last year. in hopes that I would get sufficient sponsorship to execute at a very, very high standard this year. And so far, things are coming together. If anybody out there watching this is interested in sponsoring, just hit me up, contact at pano-grama.com, and we could have a chat, But yes, I'm still new and I'm still growing as an individual and as a business. So I do not have any long-term financiers at this point in time, but that is definitely where I intend to get to after this year.
And you see that on a international stage or on a local stage?
Oh, definitely on an international stage, because now that we are operating in the virtual world, that just knocks down all boundaries. I could get sponsorship from Trinidad and Tobago. I could get sponsorship from right there in Canada, because my product is going to be accessible by an international audience. So definitely looking outside of Barbados as well.
Brilliant. I see Richard keeps floating a question repeatedly, so I want to honor that. And his question is, what is the future role of PAN in the carnival? What is the future role of the PAN in the carnival? What should the solutions be for its survival? So if you could give us one solution, each person give us a solution that we could take away. I'm going to throw his question out to the panel. What is the future role of the PAN in the carnival? What should be the solutions be for its survival?
I want to say that one word is so hard, Itah, because PAN actually, from the history of PAN in Toronto, the PANs were on the road before the mass, in a sense. And, when we look at the history of PAN, we know that its longevity is at stake right now. It's dwindling away from the carnival itself, and we have tried to keep it alive in the format of having competitions and having shows throughout the year. But in terms of the carnival, we have to actually, and I'm not speaking for Terrence, it's almost like we have to almost start our own thing. And, it's Trinidad have a juve. We don't have a juve. Earl and I have been pushing for it for years, in a sense where PAN has to have its own staging. It cannot just be that we are only just a little piece of the carnival. We go down the road with 4 bands, and the whole history of that, it's an understanding that it's a showcase, but on the other hand, there is not enough support. As Nevin says just now, funding is a big thing. And if you have the right funding, we can do a lot. But without the funding, we cannot do a lot. And you cannot support the bands that have no money to come on the road, to keep the carnival alive, and to showcase what we have as a culture. So for me, keeping PAN on the road means that funding has to be in place, proper showcasing, and staging.
Very true. No, I agree. And me and Wendy have had this conversation on countless amount of times that we've talked about how do we show them that even in Trinidad and Tobago, PAN is what actually gets the bigger prizes, that gets more money, is dedicated and allocated to PAN. But here in Canada, it's the reverse. Mass gets more money than PAN. And when you look at it at the end of the day, and I'm not knocking any mass people, I'm not knocking any bands or anything like that, but look at it this way. You pay for your costume. At the end of the day, what happens with your costume? You know much standards, you know much mass headpieces I just see be jumping over. Just get trapped in the rack or the pan when we going down the road. Standard here, there's pelt away your costume, right?
Yeah.
No fault of the mass people, you know what I mean? They tired, they hold the thing, but you don't see a pan on the road. You don't see a pan throw away, We invest into our product, right? At the end of the day, mass men are still making a lot of money and they're getting more money, right? I think it should be an even playing field. You know what I mean? It should be a little bit more even here. We are at the bottom of the barrel in a sense, you know what I mean? And everybody always looks forward to the pan coming down the road. So this, like Wendy is saying, even if it was to give us our own platform for is only PAN, so we don't have to worry about the big speaker boxes and that sort of thing and fighting up with the DJs and the arguments and the worry about we're not going to get on the road because this band decided to take lunch right after the stage and the parade is not moving. You know what I mean? So there's so many elements, but I think PAN is an integral part of Carnival. PAN, Mass, Calypso, these are the elements that we put there from the start. You know what I mean? So why take away from it? Let's try to build better. Let's try to do things for ourselves and build our own thing. You know what I mean? So Moving along, I guess. Terrence, you want to jump in and say something there?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely echo what you and Wendy have just said, because that was one of my mandates ever since. But just the whole logistics and the politics behind the whole scene not allowing us to do what we want. We should definitely have a Juve, and in the future I want to work very hard in collaboration with all the bands so we have our own parade. Going down the lakeshore is a waste of time. The own parade this Sunday, everybody in the city, all the foreigners will be glad to jump in a steel band. That will also increase revenue for the band. The band can sell T-shirts and bring people into their band, shipping down the road somewhere, So I can't wait for the place to come back to some sort of normal so we could put that in place and move forward positively.
Agreed. Yes. Just want to agree with what everyone has said, which is Earl, Wendy, and Manager Junior, because again, Pan is carnival, but we need to understand too as well that the Pan, the Mass, Calypso, everything, it goes hand in hand. It's culture, right? So for many years I've seen in Toronto where they keep pushing the Pan aside until it's like no steel band, just very few goes down the road. So I mean, the steel bands need to come together, which we could create avenues within the steel bands. We make our own mass. We bring out our bands and get back the thing out there. But Pan is carnival. We cannot run from that, and we need to come together fast, because I've seen from the last Caribana or the Toronto Carnival, I'm seeing the Pan fading away, and it's troubling me. So we need to come together and let's get this movement going.
Yep. Well said.
Yes.
If I could jump in here, I could echo those very same sentiments, Rudo, from the perspective of Barbados. And you rightfully said Pan is carnival. Now, here in Barbados, in the past, there were a number of bands and there was a competition, as I understand it as well. But what has happened over the years is that Pan in Barbados has, for the most part, moved away from being centered around bands. And you find that most of the panists here, they tend to do solo work, right? So they try to get their gigs at hotels, bars, wherever. So the band culture, for the most part, has died out. One and two bands essentially survived over the years and still around. But I think in Barbados in particular, there needs to be a lot more support from the community, definitely from the government, because the potential for Pan to be as big here in Barbados as it is in Trinidad, it's there. It's there. When you look at signature events like Pan on the Sand, I have performed in front of over 2,000 people down on Brandon's Beach. So it says that there is a market for Pan here, but not just doing it with the support of the government, but we also need all the panists in Barbados to come together and try to chart the way forward so that Pan could really prosper the way I see it, prospering here.
Beautiful. I love Pan the Sand. It is an awesome event, or was an awesome event, but it is right up there at Brandon's Beach. And Dwight, where are you? Do you just want to wade in on here?
Well, Pan is integral to Carnival. That's basic. Pan, Calypso, Mass, these three things come together. So we have to do everything in our power to keep the Pan on the roads. That's the main thing. We have to come together with the government and the FMC. These people are the people that sponsor the whole show. So we have to make sure that, it's an even playing field. So Pan deserves to be heard. There are people that come out just to hear the Pan, and they are so disappointed when some of the bands get turned back. They close down the carnival and bands have to go back home without even performing. So I think more has to be done. Like Junior just said, it would be great for us to have our own show, our own parade. So that's something worth looking into.
I I'm very excited listening to all of this because I'm thinking here that PAN is a wonderful thing where I can be 92 and I can stand next to some person who is 6, and we are still in an equal playing field. I can be a banker of risk management, and that person can be a student in grade 10. And in that moment, we're coming as one voice together. So sometimes maybe the argument that we need to make is about how this incredible instrument brings all these layers and levers together so that we can execute as one. And that is the power of the instrument. So I'm excited. Let's thinking about when I see the players, the power of the women, the power of the power of whoever. But at the end of the day, somebody could be 92 standing next to somebody who is 2. And somebody could be a doctor standing next to somebody who is a doctor in the becoming. And this is such a wonderful way that we can just merge together and deliver as one. So I'm very excited that you're going to challenge policy. I'm excited that you want to speak to government to change that political will and that definition of what constitutes orchestras. Very challenged with all of that. And I'm very excited that we can look at banking criteria and other criteria to ensure that the PAN community, Steelpan or PANIS, can be listed. So here we are now, and for World, we are with the PAN-Arts Network promoting the culture of Steelpan. And I'm going to ask them now the hardest question ever before we pan into another phase. But what is that moment in your entire careers as PANist, PAN people? And when you are in a line or when you are asked to speak, what is that moment that you always refer to or resort to? Is it a moment of your bragging rights? Was it that moment that defined you? Or is it a moment that changed the way that you saw the world? And it all happened because of your passion and connection to PAN. And I didn't ask you to sing Silent Night, but I know you're thinking, and I could hear how fun.
And those are the questions that make you go, Itah. Yeah. And I think we're all going, for that moment. You know, Itah, that is such a big, big question. That's like an explosion in your head because as PANists, there's so much music and so many events that we do that one always is, you come away feeling I did a great job last year, but I did a better job this year. And the next event you do, you come away saying that was great. For me, that moment was when we took, well, I should say I have a couple of moments, but the one explosion moment that I took away was when we were able to take a band from Toronto and move it straight to Trinidad. For me, that was a moment that I had to step back. The tears ran down my face and I was like, oh, hold your breath. Because this was not us going to play with a band in Trinidad. We sit in Toronto and we look at all the bands for Carnival, which would be like right now, preparing and getting on stage and we're cheering them on. But that moment for us and for me was Pan Fantasy Steel Band on the world stage in Trinidad, playing our music with our players, including Rudo. I think he played. And a few others, Terrence and Tad. But that for me sent a message saying that when you put your mind to something, you can do it. If you can achieve it and you can accomplish it, we will get there. That is one of the best things I think for me in showcasing leadership, performance, and commitment. I think those are the 3 things that stood out for me. And there's so many others, oh my gosh, but taking PAN to a world stage was the #1 thing. Going to New York, representing Toronto, Canada, going to Manitoulin Island, taking the band there. Those are moments that I will always remember. Pan Fantasy Steel Band, one of Toronto's #1 bands, going to Trinidad and representing what we have here in Toronto. So I'm gonna leave it at that because I know that I want everybody to speak.
Yeah, well, I would say, so yes, I was there, Wendy. Thanks. For me, I have so many, but I'm just gonna stick with a few. Actually, seeing the PAN in Nigeria, being there at the international school in Abuja, I actually cried when they thought we were rock stars. We had to actually run around the school to get away from an entire school coming towards you just for you to sign. Just they want autographs of every player. So that was Nigeria. I could talk about the Caribbean Festival in Antigua with Deltones, Youth Steel Orchestra, Chanel Abraham, and they were the soloists, the Assam. But for me, one of the moments that it's like right here, right now, is St. Margaret's boys Steel Orchestra going to Carnegie Hall. And that performance, it was amazing to see the entire Carnegie Hall, Steelpan being played there. These children getting a standing ovation for all these types of classical music. And I was like, when I look up, it was a moment that, hey, the pan is going places. And that was my awe moment. St. Margaret's at Carnegie Hall.
All right. Just like Rudo, I also have quite a number of various moments. I would share a few. One, the very first one. This is a story I would always tell. I remember back when I was in high school. My friends from Blackrock, I went to Blackrock Primary School with them. They kept begging me to come and play with Cats and Jammers, and it was a bit of a challenge for me initially because I lived a good distance away and transportation was difficult. And a gentleman by the name of Leroy, may he continue to rest in peace, he said to me, listen, if you want to come and play with the band, I am going to transport you. And from the moment I said yes, every day after that we had practice, he would pick me up, take me down to the Panyard in Catton in Blackrock to play with Cats and Jammers. And that is a moment that I believe has defined my passion for Steelpan. And without his generous offer, I don't think I would ever be where I am at now with Steelpan. But most recently, and through the years, I would have had marquee victories with Pan Time in St. Lucia. Ebonites, I was there in 2014 when they finally captured the title after not winning anything since 1977, I believe it was. That was another key moment. But in more recent times, and I have to go back to last year with Panograma, the defining moment for me was standing there on the live, listening to the president of Pan Trinbago, Mrs. Beverly Ramsey Moore, giving an address in my event, something that I just conceptualized a week before. And, just to hear the words, Nevin, we love you, and to see all the positive feedback coming through from the people who were on the live, that was, an insane feeling. Words cannot describe, what it felt. And I believe it was Veronica. Veronica was commenting on the live saying, oh, Nevin, don't go and cry there, don't go and cry there. And I had to hold it. I felt like some onions might have popped out here and there, but it was a really huge moment to finally realize and digest what it was that I accomplished, bringing together an international community and that sort of stuff, and being able to provide a platform where, new and existing talent could showcase what they have to offer the world, and also to offer the entertainment to the people. As we remember, we were all inside, we couldn't go anywhere, and I think that was a breath of fresh air for everyone. And even those competitions and events that came afterwards really, really contributed to it. And I also always tell people that 2020 was the year I met the most people ever without even leaving home, and I'm very grateful for that.
Who's up next?
Okay. Well, with me, there are quite a few, but I'll stick with just a couple. Let me see. The first one is Panorama J. I remember this stands out with me, Panorama J. The first Panorama J, we went with Fontclair and we won the Panorama J competition. We tied with Samaru Jets and we placed first. But that wasn't the one that stood out to me. Was the next Panorama J. We didn't go as Fontclair. We formed our own band, New Wave. And I performing with New Wave now, I was awarded the best soloist on the double second, you know, but I was joking when they were calling out the prizes. They say, yeah, they're going to call my name now. And as I said that, they called my name. I was totally in awe. Let me see. Another one is playing on a cruise ship in Hong Kong. And we playing Tiny Whiny. And the Supremes leading a conga line to me trying to sing Tiny Whiny. You know, that to me, those are a couple of the things that stood out. Yeah, that's it. I just say a few.
Beautiful. Terrence, did I hear you? Augustus, yes.
Muted.
You're muted.
Hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just share two my wow moments. One was getting a message via Facebook to come to Ibiza, some people call it, or Ibiza. So I paused for a minute and went on Google to see where this place is. Never heard of it. And I thought this was a joke where they want me to come and tune, right? Say no problem. So we started communication and thing, and the trip came off. And whilst they're tuning a few pans, when I finished, I was just testing the pans, and you know, they all ran inside and they was like, oh, you could play a little bit. I said, I'm just testing the pan, but they said, well, you play with us tonight. And while we was leaving there, I think later the evening, when we was going to where the gig was, I saw a poster and I stopped and watched it, and I saw special guest from Trinidad, Augustus Peters, and I was like, I'm serious, but that for me like was a big thing. These things happen in minutes, and they just say, you know what, we want you to come and play here, take bap, 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 and to be walking to the gig and you see a poster with yourself on it, like nothing like that never happened with me, you know? And then another wow factor was the most recent win in the small band category with Uptown Fascinators. Like standing and looking at them perform semi-finals and finals, it was just, I was so emotional at that point because, you know, coming up in pan tuning, as Earl mentioned earlier, the you know, people tend to attach a stigma. You know, we were these fans singing like Guppy. I remember walking into a big band to tune, and a man was like, "Small man, who is the small man? But I hope you could tune them pan, you know, we are so and so." You know, I was like, okay then, and you know, there's a lot of pressure. And one of the things I took away from Mr. Kelman, he told me, he said he and Chit Samurai, you know, they work behind the scene and they keep working towards Renegades, and every year they're building, they're adjusting. And I say, you know what? I go in and follow that model, boy. And I went to Tobago. Can't remember the exact year, but I know Leandro was arranging, and Uptown was just, they was down by a car park in Tobago, there close to Custard, next to a big drain. And I was asking myself, boy, why find myself here, boy? And I say, you know what? Forget that. I'll take the model from Mr. Kelman and we would work towards building the band, boy. So, you know, you went sometimes no pay, sometimes a little traveling allowance, small thing, and it keep getting better. And to see them move from that to making semi-final once, and, you know, people was telling the captain, boy, you had to change your tune now. You had to look for a big name, get some big name on your banner and thing. And, you know, she was like, you know what? I go in with my tune, I'll leave my alone, boy. And from then to now, seeing them come and actually win the Panograma, I mean, that for me was like really emotional. You actually see the growth, but you didn't jump in a big name band to get recognition, but you work behind the scenes with a small band, and then everybody now talking about Uptown, and the fans tuning and whatnot. So that was a big thing for me.
Thank you. Beautiful. Got to unmute, Terrence.
Okay, my mic is on now. As for me, my moment was when I started to play pan with Afro-Pan, really. Going down the road with Ratty Ray. That was a moment to remember, my friend. And other than that, another ecstatic feeling was when I sort of I was behind coordinating the change in the Pan Alive format, whereby we hired a what's her name? I forgot it. We hired a program person to run the show, and that show, when I get the feedback from the band, it was really pleasing to hear the comments of how the show was. Earl himself mentioned he was on a boat ride, and he was ecstatic to know that he had a program in his hand to tell him exactly what time his band gonna be going on. So in that way, he was able to reach at Lamport Stadium in time to perform. So that was such a good feeling to know that everything went as planned and the bands were all happy.
Very cool.
True. Take your pips, yeah, man. Nice, true, nice. I wasn't on a boat ride. I was at Flair. Yeah. Flair, it's up.
Right.
Wow. Plenty wow factors for everybody here, and I would say same things. One wow factor is, I don't know if you can see it here. This is a certified gold album presented to Earl La Pierre in commemorative of selling over 50,000 units on Universal Records for private collection party. I played a small token on this mix album. The song is called Only to Be in Love. It was sung by Glenn Lewis, a Toronto dude. Baby, yeah, Trinidadian background too, right? Baby Blue, Kid Cut, my brother, MC as well. He produced it, and he's like, and Kid Cut has this high voice, and I could still hear it now. Yo, E-Man, I have this pan thing I want you to play on. I was like, what is it? And he started to sing it. He had the line, and I played it, and it tore up the radio station. And like I said, I got this gold album because of that, called Only Be in Love, Glenn Lewis. Me and Glenn have never even met each other. One day I met Glenn, and he was standing up right next to me, and I tapped him. He was like looking at me, and I was like, you don't know me, huh? And he looked at me, he's like, who's this man asking me if you know me? I was like, I played the pan on Only Be in Love. And he's like, oh my God. And he went crazy over that. So that was a wow moment. Like Wendy said, taking the band away was something that in the years of managing Afro-Pan, my wow moment was taking Afro-Pan Steel Band, and we started to call ourselves International Afro-Pan Steel Band, to Africa. We got to go to the motherland. So you could only imagine being in Africa. Like, we went to Gabon, West Side, West Coast, French-speaking continent for their inaugural carnival. So they needed pan, they wanted mass, and I was responsible for doing that. And when I tell you, I was like a child in a candy store. I got off the plane, got outside finally. The birds were so loud, it was just infectious. I was like, wow, music already. Then I looked down on the ground and I saw an ant. Like an ant. We know what ants are. And I was like, oh my God, look at this African ant. And I started to follow the ant around the place. And I'm like, oh my goodness, look at this ant. And I'm going crazy. So going to Africa, never thought I would ever be in Africa. Hong Kong, went to Hong Kong, another thing. So my travels playing pan, I think those are my wow factors. So I've traveled around the world just doing what I love. So those are my wow factors.
Just that I just want to say one thing, because I might never be able to set foot in my parents' house again. Just want 2007, 2008 Panorama champions with Court Song Specialist of Laventille. I want to throw that for Nevin, Cats and Jammers, and to Mr. Stephon West, the current medium champion arranger, right? So that was under our arranger. Rest in peace, Ken Professor Fillmore. So that was another wow moment with being a Panorama champions back to back.
That was his first, right?
Yes. First ever in the Panorama, senior Panorama. Yeah.
You see Ken up here, right?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Rudo, I didn't know we were going there. I didn't know we were going there. I mean, Cats and Jammers. I played with Cats and Jammers when we put all that Bacchanal on stage in 2012. This is Bacchanal. And I celebrated.
Look where you start.
I celebrated with Gotti last year when Uptown beat people in the small category. So if you want to go down that road, you know, I could crowd some more too, but I like to be humble.
But here's the thing. I'm in the company of people who are panists, who excel at pan and have played this instrument to people. And so you got to ask me, what's my pan movement?
Okay, yes.
My pan movement is this. I go to Trinidad and Tobago to the Panograma, and I go with Wendy and her side, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, when the bands come on stage, it's like the government. And each band is saying to the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, we want to be the government for the next year and run things. So now we're going to execute and present. And I watch all these bands come on, and this was like on a world stage, $1 million stage. Oh, this was so exciting. So I told myself I wanted that experience too. And the world told me, no, you girl, you can't get up on that stage. Well, through a series of security guards with some skill testing questions, I got myself into a band. I didn't even know who the band was. I was just excited to be on the band. And so me and a group of people were pushing this woman on a bass up onto the stage. And now, booyah, I was on this world-class Panorama stage as some old bloods said things like this. I had no idea what they were saying. All I know is I didn't want the sister that I had pushed her bass onto the stage to roll off the stage. And so I stood on the stage and watched this whole band execute. Oh, it was just an awesome feeling. Walking across the stage, Wendy and them yelled, oh my God, there is Itah. I could not wave of them because that would have been small time. I was on the world stage with big panics and it was showtime. And so the band executed, and then I got to push this bass lady back off the stage. Now, as I'm pushing the bass lady off the stage, I am panicking that if this bass runs away from me, oh, this is not going to be good. And there are a lot of basses happening. So I say to the woman next to me who is pushing the pan, I say to her, you got this. I hope you do, girl, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And the sister says, oh, Itah, I know you. I don't know what I'm doing either. I just wanted to be on the stage like you. Oh my God, there are two women in front of us who are holding up this bass. So we say to the two women in the front, I hope you know what you're doing because we don't know what we're doing. And by the way, I say to the woman next to me, who are you? How do you know me? And she goes, I go to your bookstore all the time. The two women in the front now, they look back at us. And in true Trinidad style, this is what the two ladies said. Oh God, we don't know what we're doing neither. We just had big egos and we wanted to come up on the stage and push a pan. We thought the two of you knew what you were doing. So here we were, 4 women who didn't have a clue about what they were doing. We just wanted to be on the world stage because this instrument is so exciting. And the last thing I was going to say, All Stars come to town here in Toronto, and we're setting up for their event at Ontario Place. Mm-hmm. And there's a man from the bank, their corporate sponsor, who is moving around. And I go to him and I say to him, excuse me, sir, but can I have the bio and the information on All Stars? Because I have to present them today. And the man looks at me and he says, I don't know anything about All Stars either. I just happen to be like organizing them. Ask the man over there. He know plenty about All Stars. And that man pointed to my husband, the man that I sleep with and I've married to because I love Trinidad and Tobago so much. I married a Trini. And I had to go over to my husband to ask him the history of All Stars. This has been a fantastic day. You have shown us how PAN as a movement gives us mobility. You are emboldened to do brave things, to speak in different messages to the corporate world, to put bureaucrats and government on notice as they change policies. We are particularly excited that through the conversation that you have said to all PANists, whoever they are, we are in agreement to work with all of you because this is how the movement will move forward. The beautiful thing about your instrument, it is a circle and it's cyclical. So that means that we can go around and around, and that base is so big that others can share. I hope and I wish you the best in all that you do. To the Pan Arts Network here in Toronto, congratulations and all your successes. And I hope that the future is even brighter for you. For those who are with the Ontario Steelpan Association, enough respect too for your efforts over the years. And may this time of the pandemic and all the other pandemics of racism, of George Floyd, also fuel us to look at how we navigate going forward. To Nevin in Barbados, I am happy that you came from Black Rock to Black Rock. And again, we salute you of coming with something innovative, which was inspired by others. And so in your doing, you further inspire others. To Rudo, I am happy to even show the world one of the resources and things that you shared with me out of Pan-Trinbago the day that I went to that space, so that resources are available, so that young people, other people, Canadians, whoever outside of the PAN movement can be more informed about what you are doing. To Dwight, may you continue to amplify the power of PAN in the subway. And we hear you, and I'm sure the Toronto Transit Commission too has heard you, to invite other PANists to join you. That's a beautiful thing, and that tells us that your umbrella too is very big. To Earl La Pierre, keep on keeping on, whether you're the Sons of Steel, whether you are the Kingdom of Soca, and all the beautiful things that you do to bring that energy and excitement to our lives. To Augustus Peters, enough respect to you as you continue to breathe life into an instrument, but not also breathe life into an instrument, but also let the spirit of that instrument ignite life in others. So enough respect to you. And to Wendy Jones of Pan Fantasy Steelpan and part of PanX Network and all that there is PAN. Much congratulations and success to you. May you keep on keeping on. And one day we will be proud to open the book of the Guinness Records. And it will say that in the city of Toronto for 8 years consecutively, Pan Fantasy has had the honor and the privilege to be a #1 band. So as a book person, I look forward to the day when that history is recorded. And to all of you out there, whether you're teachers, you're educators, you're people worrying or speaking about the challenges of young people, and in particularly Black young people, this is what I want to leave you with. In the summertime, during the months of June and July, and even in Trinidad, from the fall right into the competition time, a group of people, hundreds of people, lots of young people get together every day and practice. Sometimes they practice the same thing all night long for a whole week. That would drive me mad. I don't have that discipline. So when we speak about our children, when we speak about who they are, it is very important that we also share that this awesome movement of PAN instills a discipline, and that our children and young people are disciplined enough to come together every single evening for so many hours, from 7 to 1 to 2 to 3 a.m. in the night, so that 100 people, 50 people, 40 people can execute in one voice on the night of the competition. So PanX Network, OSA, and the PAN movement, your future is incredibly bright because you continue to inspire and ignite the imaginations of young people. I am Itah Sadu, and I have been very privileged to be part of this very rich conversation this afternoon.
Itah for president.
Yes.
Yeah, I vote too.
You see what the person say? Itah for president.
Yes.
Ben Jackson. Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Very much, Itah.
Big up on Ben, because when Ben came into my life, he showed me a discipline that exists. I also want to big up Larnell Lewis, because every time that brother got out of his car in the pan yard, I saw him do a very cool thing. He would start to warm up. He warmed up his hands. He warmed up his fingers. He warmed up his body, so that young people looking at him, they saw modeling. You just don't jump on an instrument and you play, but there's preparation for you to meet your creativity. So Larnell Lewis, Ben Jackson, thank you for the modeling that you two have brought to the pan yard.
Boy, Earl, did we miss Terrence?
Yeah, I think
I
we
said you
did.
did Terrence, man.
I didn't do Terrence?
Yes, you didn't do Terrence. I didn't do
Yes,
Terrence.
I
Oh,
think.
Terrence, I'm so sorry. I thought I did do you. Yes.
She got to give you your outside speech. Go on, girl.
Oh, I thought she did it on the house, the umbrella.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And
So
All
we will
right.
give you your individual moment, not the host.
Okay, all right. I'll take it.
But you know what? He also brings a good thing to the pan yards, which is the peanuts.
Yeah, man.
Oh
Yes,
God,
I did
oh
not
God, oh
see
God.
For years, for years, and now his son is doing it too. You know, so he pass on the nuts.
Son is a nuts man, huh?
Yes,
Easy
man.
tad.
Yes,
Franchise.
franchise.
Our experiences are I want to say that,
From you, Terrence, to bang us out.
yes, our experiences are so great. We could count up all the things that we have done in the past. It is so many main lessons, but Itah, thank you for pulling all that together. It's always well said. And I love the comparison that you use, which is the pan, the instrument. When we look at it, this circle represents all of us. Each note in it represents a certain sound. And that sound we all carry because we're all different. And if you look around the panel, we're all different in so many ways, but we all come together because we have one thing in common. And the one thing we have in common is pan, and that is the amazing piece. And Itah, to tell the story of pan, you always have that opportunity to bring the positive light. And I want to thank you for that because, as I said, when I opened, Itah has this spirit that she brings. She brings the spirit of laughter anywhere she goes. That's one thing I can tell you. If she walks into a pan, she can just start laughing and you must laugh. So that is her humor, but most of all, that's the gift that God blessed her with. And we have to big up all the pan people in Toronto, Earl.
Facts. And there's a lot. So big up everybody who's online as well. All the comments. I've been trying to get as much of the comments on the screen as possible. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, still 70 plus people on here on YouTube. About 20 something on Facebook right now, and I'm not sure who's on Twitch, but same way, we broadcast in all platforms. And if you know somebody who would be interested in listening to this, it's going to be up right after the show, so you could go back and you could always watch, so share with your friends and families. Like we like to say, please share, like, and subscribe. Click that bell, turn on the notifications so you know when we're doing something like this. We're going to be doing a virtual Snowflakes on Steel soon. Hopefully we're going to be doing a virtual gospel praise on Steel soon, so look out for those things. I want to personally thank each and every one of these fine people on the panel as well. Augustus, like Jimmy said, like this year, I know I was coming to Trinidad with an empty. I wasn't even bringing a pan case. I was going to get a new pan case because the one that I have locks, and I don't have locks no more, so I needed a new pan case from Sarah. You know what I mean? And these are the things that, as you could tell, the marketing, the promotion, and the production, things have changed now. It's not the same. Look, you see a blue case there, you see a red case there. I have my face on the case. Wendy just got her Sarah pan case this year for Christmas with her beautiful face on the pan. The backside has the pan fantasy. You know what I mean? These are the things that we've been doing in this pandemic. Merchandising. You want masks. You know what I mean? These are the things that we have to keep doing, and we have to keep producing and keep pushing people. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. It's been a while. I ain't get to see and touch and bounce one another. So virtual bounce to everybody there.
Bless up.
Dwight,
Yes.
brother, we would have seen each other at Pan Fest or something just now. You know what I mean? Hold on. Yes.
Yeah, I want to say nice to meet Dwight too, because Dwight, when I got involved in Pan, and you go up and you look at Panograma, where you see Dwight Belgrove, he had the little.
Yes.
Man blowing legend. Honor to actually meet you.
Yeah, man.
It's an honor to meet you because you under Butch Kellman, and that is my father's personal friend. So it really tight. Yeah, I'm real glad to meet you.
Earl, could I just give
Rudo,
for the Pan Spirit Virtual Series that was, although we know it have no panorama, but tomorrow, right, Pan Tramigo, they celebrate Pan Resilience, keeping the vibes alive with the medium bands. That's tomorrow, right? 8 p.m.
Okay.
8 p.m.
tomorrow.
And of course, medium bands does $15 US. And on the 13th, next week, the day before Valentine's, is the large bands will go Sweetest Pan in the World. So it shows that we could log into.
Ooh, what time is that on the 13th?
both 8 p.m., which will be
Okay,
7 here.
When they are scrapping that Valentine's thing right now, yeah? All right, I appreciate that. Good. We supporting that.
I need the new pan to go in the new case. Okay?
Let me show the case. You see? You need the new pan.
Wow, nice case.
Don't worry, it will be cool.
Wendy, yes, Wendy, I love it. Nice.
I need a new pan though, okay?
Yes. Canada Crewman.
Kermit in Canada, you say yes. And we didn't get even to touch on that. There's so many things that we could have touched on. Right now, Trinidad is in a bad state, and you could tell us a little bit about it. But the chrome factory that all these pan makers be taking their pan to had burned down. So,
boy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big void there. Well, right now things still processing. They're trying to decide, the way to go forward. How insurance is, you give them your money up front early, and when it's time to give out, it's headache. So, things process it and stuff. But I hoping that they get back on their feet, and because there's a really big void they believe there.
Well, bro, what I'm hoping is that, like how we have come together as pan musicians, as soloists, that the pan makers now could come together and have their own chrome factory. Pan Trimbago, I'm calling you out too. Let me get a pan Trimbago chrome factory as well. You see, Rudo had say change key. Rudo. All right. Change key. All right.
I think, that's a big thing. And when we look at the struggling artists, we're looking at pan in Trinidad too. They have so many things and needs right now, right? And I want to say that even in Toronto, we have that problem also. And Ben, why you want to know where my pan case from? Oh gosh, Sarah, right, Earl?
Yes, Sarah.
Earl?
Yes, Sarah pan cases.
It's Sarah. We just need a new pan for it. I just want a new pan. I want a new tenor pan that's just for church. Not the bass. I need a bass too. You can send up a 6 bass.
Wendy.
Oh gosh.
Bass and a snare. Church play tenor. Okay, just so you know that. Let's put that out there. So I'll be a little bit of thing, but I need a nice pan that I could keep. I want to say that the issue about the chrome factory, it's really heartbreaking to know that we are struggling in that context. That Trinidad. How many pan factories we have in Trinidad? How many chrome factories we really have? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things happening that we really need to focus on. Toronto has one chrome factory, I think, Earl, that Uncle Tommy goes by. I think it's one guy he goes to. So that's,
I don't even know. The call came to me and I was like, I really don't even know. You know what I mean? To be honest, I didn't know. So I started to do some investigations. But could you imagine, and Augustus, you could tell us and you could shed some light on this. And I know Itah has other things to do, so maybe she may be logging off soon. And we can just probably...
Thank you again.
Yes, we go thank you again. And we cut in the live at our 3 o'clock, 2 hours. All right, so we ain't going over that. But Augustus, he had explored the option of sending his pans to Toronto to get chrome. Then it has to get sent back to Trinidad for him to touch again, then to ship out to somewhere. That's gonna be costing way too much. And that's me thinking about that. It's giving me a headache because we have not accounted for duties that might get charged here in Toronto, shipping to send back to and from. These things are weighed here in Toronto to send to there. So could you only imagine now? So you could shed some light on that if you like. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the show has to go on. It makes no sense here. You're whining and crying and bawling. The show has to go on. So it's just temporary until something happens now.
Okay.
Within the time, because as I said, the show must go on. But you can't. The fan had to be kept alive at whatever cost.
So to that context, most of the bands, I mean, it's a good thing and not a good thing, because if Panograma was on, you'd have been here, but you had to go to the chrome factory and pick up pans. At this point, you might be playing the pan without a chrome, right? And that's a sad thing to see, because we should be so much more advanced that it shouldn't just be one factory. You know what I mean? One person, just monopolizing the market. And I think it's a broader thing that we have to look at, because pan should not be suffering, especially in the Mecca of pan. That should not be the case. This is where you produce, and this is where one of your greatest love is. We have to do better than that. And it's not just the Pan Trinbago, it's other entities. right? Because
Yeah, from the top.
I mean, I've heard about the nickel factory, and I've heard what it's made of and why they watering down the chrome because they ain't putting enough this in it, you know. Not even a good 2 years, your chrome is coming off your pan and things like that. So I think there's a lot of things that you have to look at. But, you know, let's try to put our heads together and see what can be done.
Yeah, definitely.
Wendy, I remember before the pandemic, I would have met with NP, National Petroleum, because if you remember, the drum making machine that makes the drums, NP had given that to Pan Trinbago. And I remember meeting with NP to discuss getting a chroming factory, right? The discussion was ongoing, and then the pandemic came, and I left Trinidad to be here. So I know the executives are following up on that, but we need a dedicated chroming plant for Pan. We need that.
Yeah.
It's something that we need, and we should demand that. I mean, we have an industry. Pan is an industry. It's not just coming to a pan yard and just playing the pan and have all the accessories that goes with it. It's a business. We need to think like that. Pan could bring in so much money, and we're not seeing it. Come on, the same oil drum that we create, we put oil in. You throw that oil. How much money they sell a barrel of oil for at the highest? Let's say 130 US. Throw that oil and sing 210 a pan. What's the value? Come on, we need to see the benefits to it. So we have work to do.
A lot of work. The pan community always has a lot of work. And I think when you look around the world and you look at the Caribbean islands, there's bands in the Caribbean. Then you look at North America, and we are pushing what we do. You know, I was going to say, you know, when we get acknowledged for doing something, it's not about the acknowledgement, it's about the work that goes behind it, because you're leaving that work behind, right? You're setting the stage for the work. And when we do a show, we're saying, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And it's about the pan side. Look at right now, the pan sides have no homes in Toronto, right? So those are things that we've talked about. What does that comprise of? Because right now, if you don't have a home, you can't practice. And we're now going into a different world, a virtual world. You can't practice anywhere. Yeah. So what are we doing as pan players, and what are we doing as moving our bands forward? We still have to keep the bands active and motivated. And I think this is one of the opportunities for us to share with the wider public by promoting the culture of Steelpan. And this is why we brought this to you today, and we want to make sure that it continues. Thank you to Toronto Arts Council for helping us to do that and to move forward. Nevin, we are hoping that we can help you, you know, in some way and format, and I'm sure Earl will help with some skills and myself, whatever we can do to help you to make your product also stand in a positive mode. OSA, same thing. We've always been here to help OSA. There's soloists in Toronto. We hire them, and we try to do the best we can of pushing them forward. Whatever events that we have, we make sure Pan is represented. And that's the main thing, keeping the culture alive and keeping Pan alive in Toronto, promoting the culture of Steelpan and the power to teach. That is the main thing. Education, education, education. So as pioneers, I'm looking at all of us. We are all pioneers of Pan right now. And the magic that we set forward and we move forward together is the most important thing. So I'm praying that we take a step together and we come together as family of Pan people. And I know Earl and I will continue to do what we do as best as we can. And we hope that people will support. I want to thank Itah. I know she's gone because she's got a million things on her plate. But Itah, thank you very much as always.
She was excellent.
Yeah, man.
For being
And I know some of you guys have never met Itah before in your life, and I'm sure she has made that first impression on you. Yeah, man. So that's why we love her so much. She's brilliant with what she does, and she just makes you laugh, man. Like, I've seen Itah perform and do her thing a million times, and she always makes me laugh. Like, it's not nothing. It's never nothing stale. She does her research, and she does touch you, man. So you would swear that she's met each and every one of you guys like she was your partner. You know what I mean? So I love her to death. So I appreciate that she was able to give us the time that she gave us today. And like I said, we're going to try to cut that too, which is in 4 minutes. I know everybody has things to do. God bless everybody. If Rudo, if you can let us know about that show tomorrow. I know tomorrow's Super Bowl too, so we batting. So what's that
we
show
are
tomorrow?
fan people. That's keeping the vibes alive. The medium bands, they're gonna perform from 8 p.m.
Okay.
And you could go to www.panograma.co.tt for more information. Okay. But the medium bands tomorrow, on the 13th, you have the large bands. So it's something that we're looking forward. It's the Pan Spirit Virtual Series.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Definitely. Okay. I already bought my ticket. And to continue along that same train there, Rudo, Skiffle also has a concert that is on tonight. Tempo in Sando, and they posted recently that the concert was sold out, so that's very good. They will also be broadcasting live on Facebook at Skiffle, their Facebook page. I just want to shout out Flogo. He dropped an insane music video recently of Rednecks Down in the Meat. That probably soaring over 10,000 views. And to Wendy, I just want to say I thank you for the invitation. And I would appreciate any assistance that I can get with Panograma this year. It was indeed a pleasure sitting here today and having this conversation with you guys, to meet Dwight and Terrence and everybody else who was here today. It was indeed a pleasure. And these are the types of conversations that need to be had, constructive conversations, so that we can exchange ideas and eventually take PAN forward, so that it could truly realize its full potential.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Welcome. Yeah, I got your back, bro. Told you that from jump. I didn't know Nevin from Adam, and after that first show, I just called this man and I just talked to this man, and you would swear we know each other from time. And even up to this morning, we started talk about stuff. We even touch half the stuff we talk about this morning. That's just us socializing, and that's just us. We are very determined to put that PAN on that world stage, and I have his back. I was one of the sponsors that jumped in afterwards, and I wish, well, I can't say I wish, if COVID didn't happen, I guarantee, well, I had Earl Brooks here last year already, but one of the things that I wanted to do is to have one of the winners come to Toronto, because this is something that I said that we could do, whether it's myself being Sons of Steel, whether it's Pan Arts Network. This is something that we always do. We always invite panists from all over the world to showcase their talents here, and there is a market for it here as well. So I want to extend that again openly and publicly, that once that happens, Nevin, you have Sons of Steel support, you have Pan Arts Network support. We're going to do whatever we can to make that prize even more fulfilling and more fruitful for the soloist champion. You know what I mean? Defending his champion this year is Mr. Earl Brooks Jr. BJ. I know he was online as well. Large up, my brother. I hope you're not buried in that snow, because I know that real snow there in New York. And I know we cussing right now. We here in the cold countries because it's real cold. And like I said, today would have been rep your band boat ride. I know all now. We in Renegades Panyard or something, and we liming with Duve, and them kind of vibes. But so be it. We'll be there soon again. Trust me.
Yes, we will. And we just have to be safe and take care of our families and our friends. Just reach out when we can and make sure that everybody's okay. This has been amazing. And I want to thank everybody who jumped online today with us to be a part of this inspirational talk. And we are definitely going to be doing others. There's other educators that we know that we need to tap into. And I know there's a lot of you out there. There's so many of you out there. And I just want to thank you guys. You can reach out to us. And, Earl and I are listening. We're listening. We're all ears. As he said, at times it's hard because we know the platforms are flooded with other things. And you pick the dates and you pick the time, but there will be a million things going on. It's just like the Pan world where we have shows. Yeah. But just keeping on, and if you need our help, please call us. Let us know. Earl, you can get in touch with Earl. He'll give you handles. And Pan Arts Network, we're online. But most of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of you. And may God bless you and your families.
Yeah, man. And like Wendy said,
okay, thank you so much.
There's no, like I say, bad vibes between the bands and the soloists and things. Like Rudo just mentioned there, that show that's coming up on the 13th, I totally didn't even know, because last night with the vibes of my show last night, I did Tunes from Tunesville with Michael DePanis, and everybody was talking about Valentine's. When I look, Valentine's is on Saturday, so I was like, all right, next week Friday we go down and do a love songs Tunesville. And now that he mentioned that that is happening on the 13th, I will actually probably move it to the Saturday on Valentine's Day or whatever. I have spoken to some panelists already. So we'll make something happen though, but we're not going to go on the same time.
Valentine's is the 14th, right? The 13th,
the 14th,
is the Saturday.
Correct. So I was going to go on the Saturday. So what day is the show?
Saturday. Saturday is the show.
Oh, so the 14th. So I good for my Friday?
Yeah. The 13th.
Okay.
The 13th is a Saturday.
The 13th is the Saturday?
Yeah.
Well, my calendar real bad, so whatever the Friday is, that is the day of my show.
You're still in 2020.
I might be in 2020 and shoot, you know. My bad. So I think I put out a flyer with the wrong date and all kind of things. So don't worry. We go fix that whenever it is next Friday. Gosh.
Blessed day, everyone. Blessed day.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, again.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody have a good day, man. Bless up.
Yeah. Wendy, you guys did an amazing job. Keep on organizing stuff like this. In the future, it could only help our movement. So thanks very much, and I'm looking forward to the others to come.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Terrence.
Oh yes, it's a pleasure having me, and I like what you guys doing, and I always anticipate OSA doing something virtually, but it takes a lot of planning. I'll definitely reach out to you guys for help once I need it.
Nice.
All right? Keep doing the good thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool C. You see the email address at the bottom? Just send an email or link me, because I don't know who Cool C is right now. I sure know you, but I don't know you.
All right. You want to where we can reach you? If people don't know who you are and where to find you?
panartsnetwork@gmail.com. All right, or all my social media is Panman on Duty. Everybody, Panman on Duty on all social media platforms. Patrice,
and what about
girl?
Pans, if anybody want to buy a pen? Let's push the pen, man.
We waiting to collect data. We have all the duties, all the information. We will see how the pricing going. So we need to collect that data first and be able to give all this some sound information, man.
Okay.
I'll let you all know what's going on, because I try to keep our stuff to try to move away from always trying to rush to complete our order. Always try to have a
Majid. Sorry, my boy.
Yeah, so somebody could come today and get a pan one time now, but because
Augustus,
of the unfortunate situation, we doing stuff.
Augustus, don't forget my order was in since last year. I was supposed to collect this month here, so you know just keep it on the top. That shelf, I think that is it on the top shelf there.
That list long way.
Yeah, I see it on the top shelf there. Right. Don't worry, man. It go come.
Thanks for having money, sure, you know. But tuners, most times tuners usually busy, but I saw the need for being on things like this now.
Yeah, man, definitely. And you know what?
We need to come out and kind of, educate people, because it's not just coming out and tuning up on, with up down. I had to stand up in the savannah and you're listening to people say, oh, the president is a Tobagonian, so Tobago band winning, but I was like, for these people serious by working with this band from when they was down in the gutter, boy, and every time they raise a little money, they buy new fans. I say, right, we need to get some pieces, and everybody was working as a team, boy. So I actually saw the growth, but you hear people just talking and saying all kind of thing, and I was glad I could have been there to say, like, hey, that is wrong, man. I was there. They will work hard. They deserve it. They well deserve it. They work hard, boy. Ask Nevin. I didn't even know Nevin. Thank God for Panograma. I work with the band he play with, and I didn't even make him out, boy.
See,
I think all in all with the pandemic, I think it did good with linking us virtually, boy. I get to meet so much of people as well.
Augustus.
Yeah.
If that saying was true, what people saying the president, Jake, Nevin and them would have won the Panorama. So you see, all that's talk is rumors. Everything is
they just look to justify the thing. I was proud to say, hey, this band here had some old fans. I tell people laugh at them, but them fans song old change the tuner. You know how hard that was, and I mean, as a tuner, you experience stuff like I went into a band to tune once. And you see certain players, they come and they take in their pan and trying to hide it now because they don't know, they real life thing, so it's like, boy, people real. But the thing is, you can't really get them wrong. Your Steelpan is a precious instrument, and They don't really know your name. They don't know the tuner, so I don't really give them wrong now. But to push through all of that, where people calling it, why we were here, we were here. Some of the same people who was hiding their pans now. They're hiding it from other people. Only when Gus come, I already touch our fans, so you know.
Good.
Growth and everything, and I want to encourage even the partners network, boy. Nothing don't happen overnight, but you have to push through.
Yeah.
And I get real insults and things, you know, sometimes you let you know some of them might be a little harsh, boy. But I think I ain't doing that good. I ain't think and you know, but you have to.
Well, keep pushing, brother, because really and truly, that's what you gotta do. And you're doing good things, because right now,
much thanks, man.
Yeah, bro, and I pray that we get a solution for this Chrome factory thing. Hopefully we can get that sorted out. Hopefully the powers that be are listening to these kind of things. The platform, I find every panelist, every tuner, every organization that's hearing this right now, that we try to push to see what we can help to, you know. Maybe that's where the GoFundMe needs to start to link up to for us to create our own. You know what I mean? It has to be homegrown. So I hope that happens soon. Blessings to everybody on the outside day. So since it in what year didn't it have a panorama? So I think we're gonna close with this one. God bless everybody. So this one is about my brother Noel Rainorama. So we gonna take it out on this one and we go wish everybody safe passages, right?
Bless up.